So far we've talked about changing the brightness or luminance of pixels. Now we're going to look at how to change actual colors. We're going to open up a file in our Chapter 3 folder, Control O on the PC, Command O on the Mac. And in this Chapter 3 folder we are going to open Saturation. Pull that up on the screen, and like we did in the previous lesson, we are going to change the screen view to full screen with menu bar. So we can do that up here in the screen view switcher, full screen mode with menu bar. This is going to let us move it out of the way once we call up the Hue Saturation dialog box. To get to that, we go to Image, Adjustments, and Hue Saturation. We'll move this over here. Again, the space bar to temporarily invoke the hand tool. We'll slide this image over and move the Hue Saturation dialog box there. Now when we talk about hue, we need to really understand what we mean. Hue we can think of as color. Saturation, on the other hand, is the intensity of the color. So we can have a single hue, a single color, and we can have that at various levels of intensity or various levels of saturation. Now, the Hue Saturation tool is fairly straightforward. We've got a hue slider, a saturation slider, and a lightness slider. For now, we're just going to concentrate on the first two. When we're set to the master mode like this, we can simply go, take the hue slider, drag it to the left, the image is going to get warmer. If we drag it to the right, the colors are going to get cooler. So that's pretty straightforward, but not very useful. There aren't that many times when you would want to just take the hue slider and drag it all the way to the right. One thing you will do more often, though, is adjust the saturation. If you wanted to add more saturation to this image, you drag this slider to the right. If you wanted to take saturation out, you drag it to the left. And if you dragged it all the way, you would take all of the color completely out of that image. Going to hit 0 here to set our saturation back to no change. But here's the great thing about this tool. Just like we did in Curves, we have an on-image adjustment tool. And if we click on it to highlight it and move the mouse over the image, we'll click on any particular color. Let's say I'm going to click on this green leaf, for example. Notice that the cursor changes into our hand icon, and this time the arrows go left to right. So if I simply click and drag to the left, notice that I am taking the saturation out, but I am only taking the saturation out of the color that I have clicked on, in this case the green leaves. So we're leaving a bunch of color in the petals and in the background, but these green leaves are losing saturation. We could drag it the other way to greatly saturate that, and we can quickly end up in a big old mess, but you can go any direction and you can isolate your change to a particular color by using the On Image tool. Now let's set that saturation back to 0. And how would we adjust the hue with this tool? Well, again, with the On Image Adjustment tool selected, we're going to click on an area of the image, but this time we're going to use a modifier key, Control on the PC, Command on the Mac, and if we Control Command click, now we'll notice that it's not the saturation that's changing, it is the hue. So we can change these leaves to a warmer hue, we could change these leaves to a cooler hue. So again, we've got a quick, fast, and easy way to isolate particular colors just by using the On Image Adjustment tool. I'm going to reset this value in the hue from 97 back to 0, and we can further refine the choices of colors that get moved and colors that do not get moved. On Image tool is selected down here. We're going to move over to the petals of the flower, click, and drag to the left. Now that's desaturating the petals, leaving the other colors alone. But suppose there are colors in this image that we would like to include in that desaturation effect. Well, if we look at the Hue Saturation dialog box, we've got 3 eyedroppers here down at the bottom, and I want you to pay attention to the last 2. One has a plus sign, one has a minus sign. We're going to click on this plus sign. We've got our Add Eyedropper, and if I go here to a different region of the image, let's say this background, this color is different enough from the petals of the flowers that it did not get moved. But if I simply click with the Add Eyedropper, it now expands the range of colors that are selected to include that background area, so that is automatically now desaturated to the same level as the petals of our flowers. So that's a great way to expand the range of colors that you want to desaturate in this case. If we wanted to take colors out of that range, we can simply go and choose the minus eyedropper tool, and we can simply click. Let's go back on this background area, and we'll simply click the minus sign, and look at that. That's taking those colors out of our desaturation effect. Again, limiting it to the petals of the flowers. So you've got a lot of flexibility and precision here in the hue saturation dialog box.